Hello, I hope you are all well. Today we will do a writing lesson together. We will talk about argumentative essays type. Now, when do we use this type of essay? We use this type of essay when we have an opinion and when we try to convince our listener or reader to accept our opinion. And when we are agreeing or disagreeing with something or someone. So we understand that for argumentative essays there should be two different opinions, two sides of something, some idea. There are some different types of compositions in argumentative essays. One you are familiar with is advantages and disadvantages, and expressing our opinions, providing solutions to problems, and expressing arguments for and against a topic. This part is important. We can express an argument for or against a topic. Now, let's talk more about the purpose of argumentative essays. An argument follows when two groups disagree about something. This one is very basic. We can all anticipate it. An argument follows, obviously, when two groups disagree about something. And again, we see there should be two sides of some topic, some opinion. There should be a disagreement. Also, in an argumentative essay, we try to change the reader's mind. We try to convince the reader to agree with the point, our point. We try to convince the reader to believe our point of view. If you are writing an argumentative essay, you should be highly persuasive and logical. This part is very important because the goal of this essay is convincing the reader. So obviously you should be persuasive and logical in your arguments. And when you are writing the argumentative essay, you are obliged to assume that your reader disagrees with you. But we should also remember that our reader is equal to us. So our reader is no less intelligent than us. So you should imagine the reader is disagreeing with you and you should try to convince the reader, but you should be logical. When you are writing the argumentative essay, you should be objective, logical, and respectful. So we talked about disagreement, but disagreement doesn't mean disrespect. So you should be always respectful and your arguments should be logical because the reader is as intelligent as you are, and you should be objective even though you are taking a side in the topic. Try to be objective. Now, let's talk about thesis statements in argumentative essay. We said that argumentative thesis takes a side of an issue. For example, an argument concerning the nuclear power plant, the thesis for a paper on this topic might be, let's look at it closer. Governments should ban further construction of nuclear power plants. This is one argument, and someone else might argue The US should continue building nuclear power plants. So here we have two different sides, two different arguments. We have a disagreement here about the nuclear plants. Now, let's talk about the organization. When we are planning the argumentative essay, we should be aware that the essay should contain certain characteristics. For example, first of all, our essay should introduce and explain the issue or the case. Whatever the topic is, we should explain it to the reader, because reader needs to understand what the issue is going to be. And the second important part that we should pay attention is our essay should offer reasons and support, because we need to prove our point. We are trying to convince the reader. So in order to prove our point, we should offer reasons and support. Also, our essay should prove wrong the opposing arguments. We should say why the other opinion is not correct, why we are right and why they are wrong. We should explain it to the reader. Let's look at the organization in details. First of all, like in all other essay types, we have the introduction. In the introduction, we introduce our problem, our topic, and we give necessary background information for our argument, and we give our thesis statement. And in the second paragraph, we explain our reasons and we support our argument. It is usually a good idea to spend one paragraph for each reason. For example, if you have two reasons for your thesis, you can explain it in two paragraphs. Third part is the refutation part. This is the part that you are proving wrong. You are proving that the other side of the argument is wrong, and you are explaining why. You can explain it in one or two paragraphs. It depends on your decision. And at the end, we have our conclusion part. This is again very similar to the other conclusions that we used in other essays. Here we restate our arguments, our major points, and we explain again why our thesis statement makes sense. Now, I want to give you some tips that you can use while you are writing an argumentative essay. These are really useful tips, so I suggest you to take some notes. When you are writing, you should avoid strong feelings. For example, it is impossible to disagree with me, nobody does this. Don't forget that you should be objective. You shouldn't be emotional about the subject. And another common mistake is being too general. Don't use generalizations. For example, don't use people say, people believe, people consider. You should be more specific than that. Again, do not use strong personal expressions. For example, I think, I believe. Because we said that we should be objective. This is not a personal essay. And of course, we need to use linking words, like we need to do in every essay. Linking words like therefore, although, however. And we should use firstly, secondly, lastly, like we do in all our essays. You can make reference to other sources. For example, the government claims that. You should give examples, not personal thoughts. This one is very important again. Do not write your personal thoughts, give examples. Give up unoriginal introductions. Try to be more creative, try to be more original, and your essay should look better in this way. Now let's look at an example. Our example topic is sharing of music files through the internet. We should make an assertion about the narrow topic. For example, a statement that expresses an opinion, a point of view, is called assertion. Like, for example, your argument. Not an assertion means just a statement of fact. It's a fact. For example, earlier this year, a law went into effect that allows music publishing companies to track down and sue people who share files of copyrighted music through the internet. Now let's look at the assertion. It's wrong for music companies to be able to access people's personal computers and get them into trouble for files that happen to be there. Here, we have an argument. Another argument. This law is good and needed because it protects the copyrighted material and thus the whole business of these companies. Here we have an argument. We have a side. Now let's talk about composing an argumentative thesis statement. Even though the US electoral system has served our country well for more than 200 years, it is clearly in need of major reform. Here in the thesis statement, we have our argument. You see the part that underlined, it is our argument. This is the assertion of us. Now, let's take a look at this example outline. Let's look at the thesis statement. Because of its cost, risk, and alternatives, the building of nuclear reactors should not continue. This is a thesis statement of an argumentative essay. Let's look at our topic sentences. The first problem with nuclear reactors is their cost. Another problem is the serious consequences of accidents. Let's look at the refutation part. Some people might claim that there is no real alternative to nuclear power. And at the end, we have our concluding statement. In short, although nuclear power is an attractive option, it has too many disadvantages. So, in the thesis statement, we put our argument on the table. And after that, following 2 paragraphs, we give reasons for our thesis, we support our thesis, and in the following refutation paragraph, we explain the other side of this opinion. We explain the other arguments. Why some people think the other way. And at the end, we have our concluding. And our concluding is kind of a summary of our major points through the essay. Now, let's look at an introductory paragraph. I will give you some minutes to read it. So in our introduction, first we give general background information for our topic. First, we introduce our problem, we introduce our subject, and then we give some general background information. And at the end of this paragraph, we have our thesis statement. Let's look at it more clearly. Because of its cost, risk, and alternatives, the building of nuclear reactors should not continue. Here we have our argument. We state our side of the disagreement. Here we state that our opinion is that nuclear reactors should not continue. And we give some reasons for it in our thesis. Now, let's look at another example. Our topic is social networking websites, specifically Facebook. Our controlling idea is security on Facebook. And our thesis is we must put an end to Facebook because it compromises personal, emotional, and financial security. Again, here we have an argument. We give our opinion. We say we must put an end to Facebook, and we give our reasons because it compromises personal, emotional, and financial security. And here our controlling idea is security on Facebook. Now let's talk about the body paragraphs. We give arguments, the reasons for our thesis statements in our body paragraphs. You should give clear arguments for your thesis statements and you should support it. Support means giving examples statistics and explanations. In the body paragraph, it is important to use some transition words. For example, firstly, secondly, furthermore, in addition, moreover, finally. And let's talk about the concluding paragraph. In the concluding paragraph, we should restate our main claim. We should make a summary of our major points. And maybe you can provide a general warning to the consequences of not following the premise that you put forward, or how the community will benefit from following that premise. In the refutation paragraph, in this paragraph, here we can also support our claim, because here we can use the counter arguments, the other arguments, to show that why our idea is stronger. So do not focus only on the opposing ideas. Explain the opposing ideas, but you can also state why your idea is a stronger one. Here we have some useful words and phrases that we can use in our essay. Could be claimed, may be asserted, might be argued, claimed, argued. Now, this is an example of refutation paragraph. I will give you some time to read it. Here, in the first sentence, some people might claim that there is no real alternative to a new generation of nuclear reactors. From the first sentence, we understand that here we will talk about the other side of the disagreement. We will talk about the other argument, the opposite argument. We introduce the opposite argument in the first sentence, and in the rest of the paragraph we explain why this is a wrong argument, why our argument is stronger. Here we have 3 reasons stated with 3 different colors. That was it for today's lesson. Thank you so much.